What if the most effective way to get someone to do something was to suggest they do the opposite? Not manipulation, not deception, not a trick pulled from a cheap self-help framework designed to make you feel clever for 5 minutes. Something older, something far more precise, something that operates at a level most people never think to look at. Here is what I have come to understand after studying human behavior long enough to see the patterns most people never notice. The human mind is not moved by being pushed. It is moved by being given space to move on its own. And the person who genuinely internalizes that principle, rather than just reads it and moves on, holds a kind of quiet influence that most people cannot even detect, let alone defend against. What I'm going to show you in this video is not a set of phrases to memorize, not a script to deploy in your next difficult conversation, not a technique designed to make you feel like you are winning while the other person figures out what just happened. What I am going to show you is how reverse psychology actually works at its deepest level, how human resistance is built, why direct pressure almost always backfires, and how the most sophisticated form of influence has always looked from the outside like doing absolutely nothing at all. Most channels that cover this topic give you the surface version, the tactics, the lines, the clever conversational moves that work once and then stop working the moment the other person catches on. What you are about to read is the version built not on tactics, but on a complete understanding of how the human mind responds to pressure, freedom, and the illusion of choice. Pay close attention, because once you see how this operates, you will start noticing it everywhere. In every room you walk into, in every conversation you have ever had, in every relationship where you felt like you were pushing and the other person just kept pulling back. The power. 1. The mind moves away from what it feels forced toward. You cannot compel a person's will. You can compel their body, their behavior, their words. But the moment a person feels forced toward something, some part of their mind begins generating reasons to resist it. This is not stubbornness, it is architecture. The human brain has a built-in alarm system that fires the moment it senses its autonomy being reduced. Psychologists call this reactance. I call it the thing that has quietly destroyed more relationships, negotiations, and conversations than any other force in human interaction. What this means practically is that the harder you push someone toward a position, the more psychological energy they invest in defending the opposite position, not because they necessarily believe the opposite, but because their sense of self becomes attached to the resistance. The person who understands this stops pushing entirely. They create conditions where the other mind moves on its own. They remove the pressure that was generating the resistance, and in the absence of pressure, the natural momentum of the situation carries the person exactly where 100 direct arguments never could. Hold this, because Principle 3 is going to show you the specific way this plays out inside the most politically dangerous environments imaginable, and it is not what you expect. 2. Genuine indifference is the most powerful position in any room. This is the principle most people intellectually understand, and almost nobody actually embodies. There is a version of indifference that is performed, manufactured, a mask worn to appear unaffected, while underneath the attachment is screaming. Most people can detect this version immediately if they cannot name what they are detecting. The performance creates a subtle but readable tension that signals the opposite of what it intends. Then there is real indifference, built not through emotional suppression, but through the complete internal acceptance that any specific outcome is returnable, that the relationship, the position, the approval, the result, none of it is load-bearing for who you fundamentally are. When a person carries that kind of indifference, something shifts in every room they enter. Other people begin moving toward them. The conversation orients in their direction. the negotiation tilts without a single aggressive move being made. Why? Because humans are psychologically drawn toward what does not appear to need them. Neediness repels, sufficiency attracts, and genuine indifference, rooted not in coldness, but in actual self-completeness, is the most magnetic version of human presence that exists. This is not a tactic you can fake your way into. It has to be built from the inside, and I will tell you exactly how that building works before this video is over. 3. Naming what you want least often gets you what you want most. Inside any high-pressure environment where direct requests carry risk, a boardroom, a negotiation, a relationship where power is being quietly contested, openly wanting something gives others leverage over you. To visibly pursue something is to invite opposition from everyone who stands to lose if you succeed. So what do you do instead? You voice the argument against your own position. You name the difficulty of what you are proposing. You acknowledge out loud the reasons something might not work. This is not self-doubt, it is psychological judo. When you voice the objection before the room does, the room loses its weapon. The resistance was being held in reserve, ready to be deployed the moment you pressed forward. By naming it first, you dissolve it. The people waiting to push back have nothing to push against, and in the absence of opposition, your actual position moves forward without the resistance that direct advocacy would have guaranteed. This is reverse psychology operating at its most sophisticated level, not convincing people, removing their reasons to be unconvinced. Do not move past this yet. Principle 5 contains the deepest application of everything I understand about human resistance, and it is the reason the most influential people in any room are almost never the loudest ones in it. 4. The person who controls the frame controls the outcome. Before any conversation has its first word, a frame already exists, an invisible architecture of assumptions that determines what is possible, what is relevant, and what conclusions feel natural versus forced. Most people enter conversations and try to win within the existing frame. They argue better, they present more evidence, they push harder against whatever position is opposing them. The person who understands reverse psychology does something entirely different. They quietly shift the frame itself. They change what the conversation is actually about before the other person realizes a reframing has occurred. I have watched this happen in rooms where nobody caught it. A single reframe, delivered without announcement, and the entire direction of a conversation changes. The people in the room walk away believing they reached a new understanding on their own. That feeling of arriving at a conclusion independently is the most durable form of persuasion that exists. It leaves no resentment, no resistance, no lingering opposition waiting to resurface. It is also completely invisible to the person it is operating on. If the foundation of someone's position rests on an assumption that can be gently dislodged, the entire structure above it shifts without a single direct confrontation. You do not defeat the position, you dissolve the ground it was standing on. 5. Resistance always reveals the hidden want. This is the psychological insight I come back to more than any other, and almost no one in this space has articulated it clearly. When a person resists something strongly, they are not showing you what they do not want. They are showing you exactly what they want and are afraid they will not get. The person who refuses to appear vulnerable is showing you how desperately they want to be seen without being judged. The person who resists commitment is revealing how profoundly they want something permanent. The person who pushes back hardest against an idea is often the person most unsettled by how much sense it makes. Resistance is not opposition, it is a map. And the person who can read that map, who can look past what someone is saying toward what their resistance is actually protecting, holds a level of insight into human motivation that cannot be taught through tactics alone. Understanding what a person fears losing tells you everything you need to know about what they value most. And the person who knows what someone values most holds the real key to every interaction that follows. That knowledge does not need to be weaponized to be powerful. Simply carrying it changes how you listen, how you respond, and how much of the actual conversation you are able to perceive while everyone else is only hearing the surface. You just encountered 5 principles of reverse psychology that most people spend their entire lives being subject to without ever once realizing it was happening. But here is the part that matters most. None of this works as a tactic. That is the thing every surface-level treatment of reverse psychology gets completely wrong. The moment you pick up any of these principles as a technique to deploy, it becomes detectable. And detectable influence is not influence, it is just pressure wearing a disguise. The only way to carry this kind of understanding authentically is to have genuinely arrived at it from the inside, to have done the internal work that makes indifference real, that makes frame awareness natural, that makes reading resistance feel less like a skill and more like simple clarity about how human beings actually work. That internal work is what separates the person who reads about reverse psychology from the person who embodies it without ever needing to think about it. The next video on the rational soul goes directly into that internal work. I am breaking down the specific psychological practices that build the kind of foundation that makes everything covered in this video not a strategy, but a natural expression of who you are. Most channels will never connect these two things, the psychology and the influence, the internal work and the external result. The rational soul exists to make that connection. If you are the kind of person who wants the real architecture and not the shortcut version, you already know what to do. Subscribe to the Rational Soul. Turn on every notification. Do not miss the next one. The people already subscribed are already building the foundation. Do not miss the next one. Subscribe to the Rational Soul now.